All right. Really looking forward to talking to my next guest on the sports card shop at Moco Guest Line. He hails from California. He recently, like myself, just attended the 42nd National in Cal, uh, Atlantic City, New Jersey. And he did a very good deed. We're going to talk about that towards the back end of the interview. I want to talk about the national first, and then we'll talk about what he did. But Mr. Daniel Kozin, welcome to Sports Card Nation.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me.
Well, so I mean, you're coming from California all the way to Atlantic City. A lot of people, you've probably heard the talk. Atlantic City, not the greatest city in the world. I might sit this national out. Some people didn't go. Actually, a lot of people from all over the country, but especially on the West Coast. That's a trip. Just kind of talk about, coming from the West Coast to the East Coast. I mean, you just your love of cards just supersedes all the negatives. I'm assuming.
Yeah, I mean, it was tough. I debated it too. It wasn't easy getting all the way out there. Couldn't find a nonstop flight to Atlantic City, so I flew into Philly. I flew a red eye actually. Plane took off right before midnight. Couldn't sleep on the plane. Landed to Philly. Immediately got on the train, which then took me to another train, which then led me right to the show. So I arrived to the show at about 10 a.m. Didn't sleep all night. Went straight to the show. Did wheeling and dealing all day. So I mean, yeah, it was definitely tough to get to. The show was really cool, but I don't think I would attend another national out there. It was pretty tough. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure you were well aware being the attend. I mean, the internet was obviously an issue. I know a lot of dealers and collectors alike. You gotta look. Let's like it or not, you gotta look up comps when making purchases or
Yeah.
trades. Right, that's a big factor. A lot of people complaining they couldn't pages weren't loading. One dealer told me Daniel that he literally had to go outside to make a transaction. That luckily he had a partner at his table, so he didn't have to leave his table unattended. And I noticed on a personal level, I was there all week except for Sunday. It seemed to get better on Friday and Saturday. I don't know if they had so many complaints that they turned on a hotspot or did
Yeah.
something logistically. It did seem to improve. Listen, it wasn't great. I'm not saying it was perfect even when it was better, but it
Yeah.
was a little bit better. I remember I've said on the show previous. I remember sending the text to my son and pulling my phone out a couple hours later, and that picture I sent my son, it's still said sending, and I'm
Yeah.
like,
Oh,
holy
oh,
smokes!
I mean, Thursday was my main day. I was only there Thursday, Friday, but
Yeah,
even last year, in Chicago, the internet wasn't great. I was a lot more prepared this year. I mean, every card that I took with me, I comped right before, and and put a little price tag on all the cards that I wanted to, trade or sell or whatever. I knew exactly what my values were. I went to this show, I mean, specifically looking for one card too, which was the 52 tops mantle. I mean, that I came
yeah.
here to the show to, do some trades.
The 9.5, the 9.5.
Yeah, not more like a one. Um,
Yeah.
you know, maybe a two, but probably not, depending on, I was very specific though. Like I wanted one of the Chicago too, but I couldn't find one that I liked. I wanted a one with good eye appeal, with good
Yeah.
centering and, not just beat to, some of those ones out there
Yeah.
just crumble. But so like I was just reviewing comps a lot too, just in case like there wasn't good internet. It was still annoying though because there were other cards I wanted to look up and I couldn't do it. But luckily, anytime someone was asking me what I was wanting for my cards, I knew exactly what I wanted. In Chicago, it was that kind of hurt me a little bit because I wasn't as quick. I didn't really know like the current comps, so I was a little more prepared, but it was still pretty annoying not having internet or even some of my dealers that were friends walking around, I couldn't even like text them. My phone wasn't really working. So that was pretty annoying.
Yeah, and I think a lesson learned there, right? You alluded to it in what you said is probably a good idea, even for future. I remember in Chicago, the internet wasn't as bad as this year's, but it
Yeah,
had issues too. So I think the moral of the story is of the cards you either own that you're trying to move or that you're looking to acquire, probably do that work beforehand and write them down in a notebook, old school, right? Old school ways.
pretty old.
Just so just so even if that's the case, you still have something to go off of rather than flying blind, so to speak.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like this day and age, though. I mean, a show that big, I mean, you have to have internet. I mean, especially
Yeah,
like some of these dealers. I saw some guys that they didn't even want to do deals because they really couldn't look up the comp, even though they probably wanted the card. And it was like, you got to think quick out there too. I mean, there's so many people,
yeah.
and there's people in line, and but yeah, that was pretty rough.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. Maybe lessons will be learned by the powers that be too. That they can fix the infrastructure there, but probably always good to plan it just in case they don't or something. Things happen even to the best of events. But listen, we know a year in advance when the next one is. So do they. Hopefully, maybe they can work out some kinks. It's back in Chicago
Yeah,
next year. I'm sure that's music to your ears. Definitely a lot closer to California
yeah.
than Atlantic City.
I,
You
I,
mentioned going. Yeah, you mentioned going to Chicago last year. Obviously, this year's. How many nationals are you a veteran of attending?
4. So
Well,
I've been to a lot of shows, but just the
yeah,
national, yeah, that was my fourth. But I plan on going every year. I don't know. I know it's usually in Chicago like every other year. So I'll definitely be going to Chicago every year, depending on where the other national is. Like if it was in a city, I don't think I could do that again. It was quite the mission to get all the way out there, and I mean, had hotel situations like just it was pretty rough. The show itself was great. I did really well at the show, but I mean, other than that, yeah, I didn't really have many positive things to say about the city.
yeah. No, I hear you. Well, I got if rumor is true, Daniel. You'll be glad. The rumor is that it's probably, uh, maybe Atlantic City itself won't like this, but probably the last national that will be scheduled there is what I'm hearing. But again, time will tell. But that's sort of the buzz on the street, if you will.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah,
yeah, that would make me happy. It would be tough to
yeah,
not even go. Even if it was out there again, I say I won't go right now, but then you know a week before, and I'd
yeah.
probably get it.
FOMO.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you
Yeah,
do get when you just follow all these social media pages and they got the countdown, and then I just think about how much fun I had last year, and everything, and it's just fun to like trade nights are probably my favorite part of the national actually, even though it's not even like the actual show. It's
yeah.
just like that is really fun.
Yeah, well, I mean, so when you attend, like, you bring cards sort of to move to acquire that card. In this case, a 52 tops mantle. You're bringing inventory to help, in that quest to, uh, you know, acquire that card. I got to ask you. You
Mhm.
mentioned the 52 tops mantle. Did you wind up getting it?
I did, yeah, and I mean, yeah, I'll show you. I So my favorite dealer, you know, MC Sports Cards, Mike. He's
Yeah,
just, I do a lot of deals with him. He's just a great guy. He always tends to have like multiples of that card. He's pretty picky with what he picks up. He had a one
yeah,
like so pristine for a one. I ended up picking it up. Here, I'll show you. I got it right here, actually. So
yeah. There you go.
yeah, and
Mi-
kind of glary,
Mission
but
complete.
um, so
Yeah,
we
you
worked
don't
out.
have to go into all the gory details and price wise, but I mean, was it a pretty smooth transaction? Did it
Yeah.
go smooth from the start, or did it look like at different points like maybe I won't be able to get this, or was it pretty
Well,
easy going deal?
yeah. So what happened? So the day before the show, actually, he posted a 1 and a 2. Both of them looked amazing. And so I texted him, and I mean, because when I saw that one, I mean, it's exactly what I'm going for. The centering on it is like the best I've ever seen on a one. It's got a few dings here and there, but the eye appeal is amazing. So I texted him. I asked him if we could get a deal done because I already know he's going to flip that thing like right away.
Yeah,
And he's like, I don't usually hold cards, blah blah blah. But we have a really good relationship, and he can trust me. So we actually worked a deal before I even went out there. So right when I got off the train, I picked it up. But then now I was like, okay, now I need to hustle and sell a bunch of cards, not at 60% comps,
yeah.
so that's why like the whole show. I mean, I was just wheeling and dealing, do a trade here and there. I did really well at trade night. I mean, I sold a lot there, and so in the end, I mean, yeah, it worked out really well. I ended up showing my mantle to Mike Baker, and he was pretty blown away by the grade on there too, and ended up. I usually don't submit to Mike Baker with like with the gold stickers and everything,
Yeah.
but with it being at the show, and he told me that he would have it back to me in like 20 minutes because I was leaving. It was right before the show was ending, and it ended up getting that gold sticker too. So for not very much at all. I just think that gold sticker on that card just gives it such even like more eye appeal. Like that's why I'm just like super happy with it.
Yeah, and it's nice that you literally knew like you had a deal done before you even arrived that always helps, right? It's stressful when you don't and you have a target and you want the trip obviously to be fruitful uh but you already sort of knew that hey, this deal was done. I just got to get there, make the transaction,
Yeah.
and do all that. uh Once you
But
had that, I mean, was it a matter of just sort of recouping some funds, or were there other cards that became sort of the next target for you for the
um,
show?
yeah, I mean, I wanted to recoup some funds. I mean, going into it though, so I had some cards that I just felt, um, that I for the long run, I just didn't love them. Like they were still worth a good chunk. Now, obviously, it's dipped a lot, but these cards, with the higher population counts and stuff, I could still get a good chunk right now, and I was still, not like in the negative from when I got them. So I also wanted to move some of these cards, and I feel like this card, the mantle, is one. I'm more of a collector. I like to flip a little bit, but I'm more of a collector,
Yeah,
and this is one I've always wanted my entire life for one. And I could keep this in the long term, and and if I do ever move it, it'd probably just be to like move up. Maybe get a 2 one
yeah,
day or 3 if I could, but I don't think I'll ever move it and then not own like another one now. That's what I
yeah.
always like to go.
Talk about. I mean, that's your Grail card. I just acquired my Grail card about 3 months ago, which was the Jackie Robinson Leaf rookie, and it's
40.
such a great feeling,
Oh,
because sometimes you think, man, this is not, going to happen, maybe, or not. I'm not going to get where I need to be on it. I mean, kudos to you because you like even before, like I said, you got there, you knew it was a done deal. Uh,
well,
Talk about the adrenaline when get it in your hand.
oh yeah, for sure. Before I get to you on that though, I made a list before. Like this is before I made the deal of if I couldn't get into the 52 because that was my goal at the last night, and I didn't get one.
Yeah,
So and the Jackie, the 48 Leaf, that was on my list. Um, I had the 51 Bowman Mantle, 51 Bowman Maze, and then the Jackie Leaf. Those were, and then obviously the Mantle, but those were the cards that I was like, okay, if I can't get the Mantle, I at least want to get one of these. But I'm pretty picky at Chicago. I almost bought one, a Mantle PSA 1. I'm glad I didn't because I didn't love it, but it was the end of the show. I'd already spent like 20 hours on the floor, and it was in my price range, but it was centered. He had a gash on like his face, but it was like the only one. And I almost pulled the trigger, but I didn't even love it. So like, I'm glad I didn't.
yeah.
But, and get into that situation this year where I was like forced to buy one that I didn't love or want because it's going to be expensive at any grade in that card. But
Yeah.
so
And you
so yeah,
made the deal, like I said, ahead of time with a dealer you trusted and have
yeah,
worked with before, so that eliminated sort of some doubts or worry that what you were getting into. And I don't know Mike personally, but I know of his inventory. It is,
yeah,
as you say, quite the inventory. I've heard nothing but great things about him, not one negative thing. So his reputation speaks for himself, and I mean that's always a good feeling too, because right off the bat you get your Grail card, and so the show's already everything else becomes sort of gravy,
yeah.
and
I was on cloud
after
nine, like,
that,
yeah, because I had that card from the beginning. To speak of Mike though, it's like I always wanted to get it from him because, like you said, I trust him. I know it's gonna obviously be real, and just I know like I'm not gonna be ripped off from him either. But the
yeah,
problem what's up with him is he usually has them, but yeah, he usually gets like a 2, 3, 4, or 5, which is pretty hefty price tag. So he's usually out of
yeah,
my budget. But the one was just he acquired it, like I think I got it like an hour after he even acquired it, so like I had to jump
yeah.
on it. Yeah,
Yeah, time means everything in this hobby as well. I won't go into I talked about it on the show, but even with my Jackie, I literally purchased it when it was very quickly after it was listed for auction. So sometimes timing is so key in whether you get something or you don't. You went to last year in Chicago. Do you feel this one was more attended or less attended? Which do you feel like it was busier last year or this year?
I feel like, well, last year it was like because we had COVID, and there weren't many shows until like like I feel like the hype was probably bigger last year because I think they were both packed. I mean, I don't know. That's a good question. I feel like they were both pretty full, and I just feel like everybody was so excited for the Chicago one too because it was like I don't think we had a national for like a year or two,
Yeah,
if it was 2
yeah.
years, and so I don't know. I don't know which one had more. They were both just packed, and I mean, I really do you know which one had more people?
The national typically doesn't release attendance figures. They'll just kind of talk in generalities. I'll give my own sort of. I'll answer my own question in the sense. I know Friday. I don't know about you, but it was hard to get in front of showcases. It was like a basketball game trying to box out and get under
Yeah,
the hoop. But
yeah.
Saturday, it was weird coming into the show, Daniel, on Saturday, like going in to park my car. I mean, there was a lot of cars. I said, "Oh, here we go again. It's going to be." But I really had no trouble on Saturday, like looking at showcases. Look, I don't know why. I don't have an explanation for that. But
Hmm.
where I thought Saturday was going to be a repeat, it seemed to be quieter. So maybe I don't know. Perception is reality. That was just how I felt. So maybe a little busier in Chicago. If one was more attended than the other, it was pretty close. To be honest with you.
Thinking back,
Ye-
I say Chicago. I got to the show early. I didn't know what to expect, and I still had to wait in line. To get my wristband or whatever. And I remember waiting in line in Chicago for like 30 minutes or so just to enter the show. In Atlantic City, it was like you just show them your paper and you get your wristband right away. So that was quick. The one thing that I did like about Atlantic City was there's cabs everywhere. In Chicago, trying to get an Uber, back from trade night or
Yeah,
whatever, leaving the show because my hotel in Chicago was about a mile away, and I did walk back one day because the day before it took me like an hour to get an Uber,
yeah,
and
yeah.
in Atlantic City, there's like taxis everywhere, so I didn't really have to wait for anything, which that was kind of cool. But still, I love the Chicago venue. Everything is just right there. A lot cleaner. I felt like a lot of hotels around, trade nights everywhere. So airport is right there. So looking forward to the Chicago show again.
Yeah, I am too. I like any national, but I'm a little spoiled because I'm here in New York, so
Okay.
Atlantic City's drivable, but I don't disagree with anything you said. I can't, so I won't. I
Hmm.
get it. If what I said is true and that this will be the last Atlantic City National, I'll miss not being able to drive to it, but that's on a selfish level. That's about all. You know, that's about all I can say. But we'll see. The National is going to be under new management starting in 2024. We may
Okay.
even see we may even see other locales come into play.
Hmm.
Some might be a little music to your ears, as I've always said. Listen, I'm an East Coast guy, but I try to be fair to everybody. I think the West Coast should get one even closer than Chicago, whether that be in California itself, whether that be Seattle, Phoenix, Arizona, Scottsdale, Las Vegas. I'm probably forgetting some city that is probably yelling at me right now, listening, like, hey, don't. But somewhere, to be fair, right, it should sort of cover the four, time zones, if you will. You got East Coast, Central, Mountain, and West Coast. Almost think every time zone should have a national venue. And sure, would it be tougher for me to go from New York to California? Sure, just like it was for you to come to Atlantic City, but doesn't mean we can't do it. And sometimes we got to do it because it's the fair thing to do. And I know a lot of people. I know personally from California didn't make this trip
Hmm.
because of sort of the logistics, and Atlantic City's not always the easiest city to just go into. You got to go to Philly and hop onto a train, and it can be daunting. And for people who aren't big travelers, it can be probably can be overwhelming or scary at some point too. So
Yeah.
I'm all for, like, hey, let's go around the U.S. with this show. If I can get there, I will, even if it's a little further, even if it maybe costs a little bit. It just means I have to save up a little earlier to plan ahead. So hopefully, we'll see what this new leadership brings, Daniel. That starts in 2024. So,
Okay.
like you said, the next one for sure is in Chicago.
Yeah.
And I believe, and this is just speculation, I believe the 2024 one will be Cleveland, and
Oh wow.
then the new proprietorship will take the reins, and we'll see what that brings. So
Sure.
hopefully, good stuff there. So, man, congrats on the mantle, and so
Thank you.
you have a great show. You get your Grail card, and then you do a great deed, and I'm happy to explain it, but basically to give sort of the background. Many people have heard this story. Uh, you know, you took a taxi to get to where you needed to go, and in that taxi, a previous rider had left their card. So obviously you lived the story, so I'll let you take it from there. So
Yeah.
go ahead.
Yeah. I was leaving the show, my final day. I was pretty beat. Got in a taxi, and I noticed, yeah, there's just a little cardboard box, on the seat, and I could just tell it was cards, though, that someone left, their car. I kind of felt it, and I just kind of felt the cards, and asked the cab driver, hey, did somebody leave their cards in here? Cab driver was, he was felt like he was in a hurry. He didn't care. He didn't know. He was
Yeah,
like, I've been driving people all day. I don't know. Like he was just kind of like, well, that person's screwed type of thing.
yeah,
So he had no issue with me taking it or anything. Some people that were commenting were like, I can't believe they let you take them, but he had no issue with me taking them. I got back to my hotel room. I opened up the box, like, to see what's in there. And I mean, I was pretty blown away. Like, there were some nice cards in there. So, it was pretty late. I, ended up just going to bed, whatever. Next day I posted, in our baseball card group that has I don't know, 50 or 100,000 followers or whatever. And, and it kind of went viral like right away, posting, I found these cards, let's find the owner type of thing. And, so many people in the community reached out. I was getting messages from other people are like, hey, so and so posted, he lost cards, send him a DM type of thing. So I did DM a few people asking if they can let me know, what cards they lost. Unfortunately, we're all different than the ones that I got. But it was when a PSA rep then contacted me, I don't know, 5 hours, 6 hours later, and he DM'd me and he was like, hey, can you send me some of the cert numbers? Maybe
Yeah.
we can figure this out. So I was like, okay, yeah, sure. When I get home, let me take a look. So, I mean, there had to have been 100 cards in there easy, and probably 50 raw, 50 slabs, I'd say. And I was kind of looking to see if there were any like in like numerical order to try to, maybe he graded them himself type of thing. Cause there was a lot of cards that were the same. So I did find, a couple like in batches where they were like right after each other. So I sent him probably 10, and 5 were right after each other, and then another 5 were right after each other. So he was like, thank you very much, I'll get back to you tomorrow, that type of thing. So got back to me the next day, and he was like, I think we have a really good lead on who this could be. And I just sent this person an email, and I'll keep you posted. I was like, great. 20 minutes later, he's like, I found him, his name is blah blah blah, and here's his phone number.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, that's crazy. So I called him on the phone, and I mean, he just was blown away. Couldn't believe it. Super happy, appreciative. Just really couldn't even believe that he was actually getting them back. He already just kind of kissed them away. And
Yeah.
yeah, it was pretty cool though. I mean, I think it got like 4,000 shares or something. Somebody
Yeah,
retweeted.
I retweeted it, obviously when something like that, and good on you for doing the right thing. And but when you see that, right, you put yourself in that person's place. And if a retweet can make the difference, maybe the right person sees it. I got to ask you, did anyone try to claim them as theirs that it wasn't? Did you get any
I mean,
fake ownership attempts?
not really. I mean, maybe one guy jokingly though was like,
Yeah.
you know, hey, I'm pretty sure those are mine. The Tom. He said something about like Tom Brady or something.
Yeah.
But I mean, for the most part, though, no. I mean, everybody I felt like was like really like trying to help, and we really just, I would have obviously never been able to do it by myself. Whoever contacted that PSA guy, I think somebody in our group was friends with him, and they had tagged his name. And then when he reached out to me, I mean, without him, it would have been tough. I was going, because for me to even try to contact PSA, I mean, you know how hard that is. Even though I live
Yeah.
close to them, you send them an email, and you know, you might get
Yeah.
a back in a week or two, and it just would have been a nightmare. So with that guy really helping out direct, we kind of became friends too. Like we've talked a few times now, and he was a really cool guy, and that's a good connection that I have now too. Just
Yep.
having, PSA, a guy that I could just contact directly is like amazing.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was pretty
Do
cool.
you know, had he posted anything on his own that, hey, I lost my cards? If
No,
you see these, had he made any attempts to try to find out where his cards were? He just kind of chalked
he,
it up to they were gone.
yeah, he would talk to him on the phone. He's like, I didn't even reach out to social media or anything. He's like, because for one, he's like, I haven't even had much time. He's like, he drove. I don't know how far of a drive he was from the National, but he lives in New Jersey. But I think he was still a little ways away. He's like, I didn't get home till super late. I had work in the morning at like 6 in the morning. He's like unpacking the car. I'm like, where are my cards? But I immediately went to bed. He's like, sleeping. I'm just like thinking about in my head, like, where are they, type of thing. But he's like, I
Yeah.
woke up straight to work, and then he called me, or I called him when he was even at work too. So he's like, I didn't even have time to even post anything or think about anything. he's like, I just figured they were gone.
Yeah, crazy. He's lucky you were the next guy in that cab. Someone else, maybe not so fortunate, and maybe be seeing his cards listed on eBay.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, yeah, yeah. But I know, I know we spoke before we went live with taping. People say, well, Daniel did what he was supposed to do. Well, that might be the case, right? The right thing, but still a good percentage, whatever percentage you want to say, may not have done what you did. And so the fact that you did, I wanted to highlight it. Was he surprised, that you had, you know, posted, "Hey, whose cards are these? Let's get these." Was he pretty shocked by that whole thing?
yeah, definitely. I mean, he's texted me so many times now, just randomly, like, still can't believe you did that. I'm so blown away. Thank you so much. Like, this guy could have been, more appreciative. And yeah, and he said multiple times, like, I still can't believe you did what you did, and but yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm just so happy that it went to a guy like him though. He's really cool. Like I was saying earlier, that hopefully he goes to Chicago. I'd like to meet him, at the show next year. And he sounds like he's a pretty big collector too. Like we were talking, we've been talking, a few times now on the phone and texting, and I showed him my mantle, and he was, loved it, and he's very knowledgeable, and that's
Yeah.
on his this type of thing. So he sounds like he's been in the hobby for quite a while, and he's just a good, true collector. So I was glad, I went to someone like him.
Well, I mean, what a great show for you, Daniel. You get your mantle. You run into these cards. You said you figured about, you know, what about they were about $10,000 worth and it really doesn't matter 5,000, 2,000, 10. The fact that it belonged to someone else and you put in the effort to get them back into the rightful owner's hands. I mean, a good way to start the show, right? Boom, right off the bat.
Yeah,
Boom, you get the mantle and you go out with a bang too and getting someone definitely cards they would really feel terribly not get ever seen again. Good things. I always say on this show, good things happen to good people. I think you're good people, and you had something good happening. You did something good for someone else that's probably a good person as well. And I'm a karma guy. That stuff, what goes around comes around, and this was a great story. A lot of times, you hear stories like this, and the endings different, if you will. The cards are never seen again, other than maybe to even surface, like years later on an auction or just sold in a sort of a in-store deal on the QT,
yeah.
and the person never gets the cards again. But that wasn't the case here. So kudos to you
Thank
for
you.
not just doing the right thing, but putting in the effort. And I'm sure you got a story. You got a story you'll never forget. You got a connection now with a
Yeah,
gentleman from New Jersey. And like you said, if you might meet up in Chicago, and you never know where friendships can form from. It
mhm,
could be from working in the same place, just from the hobby, from a forum, but and in this case from getting cards back to the rightful owner, and hopefully you get to meet them. And tell you the truth, if you do, I'd love to even do like an on-site interview next year in Chicago with both of you, and kind of like just wrap up the story and kind of get a little bit of his perspective as well.
that'd be cool. Yeah, that'd be really cool.
Yeah. Well, Daniel, again, thanks for being who you are, doing the right thing. Congrats on the mantle,
Thank you.
and hopefully, I like to get to meet you. Obviously, myself in
Yeah,
Chicago and shake your hand as well. Thanks for giving the show a little bit of time and sharing a little bit of that backstory with those details and all that. Thank you.
yeah. Thank you for reaching out, and having me on your show. Appreciate
No,
it.
no,
A lot of
you're
fun
you're welcome.
talking with you.
Take care.
All right. See you later.